Welcome to Resource Review from here at the Science Museum in London. Now, if you're looking for new ways to teach old topics, we're here to point you in the right direction. And specifically what we're looking at today is primary literacy at Key Stages 1 and 2.
In today's Resource Review, we will be testing the Planet Wobble ICT resource by Cricksoft, Roots to Writing and Reading Tree ICT resource, and Morphin Learning System word blocks.
To add to this gruelling assessment, I'm joined by our expert panel, the Resource Review panel. And this week it's made up of Ray Barker from the British Educational Suppliers Association, Adrienne Jones, who's a freelance education consultant. We've got Kay Scoresby, a freelance education consultant and our subject expert. And we've also got Adrian Fenton, who's a curriculum support manager from the Association of Science Education. Thanks everybody for joining us. Now, we sent our cameras to Catherine Fitzsimmons, and she's got a Year 1 class, and they've tried out these resources for sentence construction.
Planet Wobble is a series of on-screen books. They offer practice and reinforcement and are suitable for both group and individual work.
There's a picture here on our front cover. Does anybody know who Josh is? Can you tell which one's Josh? Planet Wobble is really easy to use. It's mainly aimed at Key Stage 1, especially Key Stage 1 literacy. It focuses on sentence level objectives, word level objectives and comprehension skills for the children to practice. Just run it from the CD and then it loads up straight away, and it's really self-explanatory. It takes you through all the steps. The children really enjoy Planet Wobble. They can identify with the characters, they can read the characters' names really easily. There's 6 different characters and each one of them's got a different identity, so that's really nice for them. So the full stop goes wherever the end of the sentence is. The stories come with 3 stories on one CD-ROM, so you can work through the levels one at a time. The next sentence was another short sentence, so the full stop's here. The story progresses and you turn the pages over in the story just like you would with an ordinary book. Let's see what happens next. So Josh has gone all the way home. And then at the end there's a wide range of activities, sentence level activities, word level activities, comprehension, and you can actually print activities out as well to use with groups in the independent work time. Okay. Let's have a look at the pictures. What we're going to do is we are going to tell the story in our own words. The positive aspects of Planet Wobble are that it's really bright, it's colourful, it's very easy to read for the children. There's lots of high-frequency words contained in the stories, which are the words that children are supposed to be reading at this level, so that's really good for them to practice reading that. Went to the boot shop. Planet Wobble is really useful to bring ICT into your lessons. Now that we're putting ICT across curricula, the children can interactively come and use the interactive whiteboard and actually have a go rather than it being the teacher leading and the children just listening. It's very interactive and they're really involved in the lesson and in their learning. A negative point about Planet Wobble is just the robotic voice that's used when the children write the sentence. A robotic voice reads the sentence back to them.
Josh went to the boot shop.
So it's just a bit of an issue. It really should read it back with the correct expression in maybe a human-style voice. That's my only negative point about Planet Wobble.
So Kay, what are your first thoughts about how well this particular resource worked with Catherine Fitzsimmons' class?
Well, Catherine said herself, didn't she, that she found it very easy to use. She accessed it quite quickly. And the other thing was that she said that the children really enjoyed it. So, I mean, it meets those criteria. It is, I mean, it's a little bit difficult because it is part of a very big package. I mean, it's a whole scheme. I was impressed with the fact that there were lots of activities for the children to do on their own after they'd done the reading with the whole class.
Okay, thank you. Adrienne, there was a very short boy. Is that what I mean by aiming high with resources?
Oh, yes. What I loved on there were the 2 little boys who were up close on the board and they were clicking. They were so engrossed in what was going on and the activity that they were doing. And that's what presumably she meant by the children really loved it. What I think is good about it is that it has a set of print resources to go with it. So for every image that's up there, you've actually got books that children can handle themselves Because with any resource where you've actually got an ICT resource where you've got one screen and the children are watching it, it's distant. With little children and early readers, when they're reading, you want something tangible that they can hold in their hand and they can flick the pages backwards and forwards themselves. So it's a good example of two resources as part of a multimedia resource.
I see you nodding there, Ray. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely. It's a really good example of, I think, what's called blended learning in the trade, where you have the best of ICT and interactivity and using whiteboards, but also you have those good old-fashioned book things that, you know, kids still love and are still very useful for classrooms everywhere, really.
Anything you'd like to add, Adrian? Or?
Quite well. It is a very adaptable resource, and from what I've seen, worked well in the classroom. It would be interesting to see if, I'm always keen to see literacy and numeracy going through the other subjects that are also in a primary environment. So whether or not that blends into the other areas of the curriculum as well, so that when they're doing history or geography or science, that they're also pushing...
That's generally the way it works in primary schools, though, isn't it? They do blend subjects together more often, don't they?
That's right, yeah. And I hope the resource looks for ways to build on that as well, so that it's everywhere.
OK, thank you. Catherine also tested another resource with her students, and it's called Roots to Writing and Reading Tree. Let's have a look how they got on.
The Roots to Writing CD-ROM contains all of the text from the series in electronic form and the accompanying pupil activity sheets.
And the story that we're going to read today is called The Holidays. It's a really short story. It's not very long, OK? So you'll be able to read it along with me. So I'm just going to go to the story. OK. So the Roots to Writing is really good because the author explained how he does it, so the children have actually got an example of this is what a real author does. He plans it out before he writes the story, and it shows you the process that he went through, so the children can copy the same process and use that. And his favourite author is Roald Dahl. That's our favourite author, isn't it? We're reading lots of Roald Dahl at the moment. The Roots to Writing I did like. I think I would use it next time with individual children set up on a computer where they can read the story and go through the comprehension themselves. I think it's a bit difficult to do as a whole class session because the story is very short and there's only so much you can get out of it, and keep the whole class, 30 children's interest going is quite challenging. But I think as a programme for children who do find comprehension quite difficult and challenging, then to put them on a computer, maybe with a partner, and do it together, I think that would be really, really good.
OK, Kate. Well, Catherine seemed to be mixed in her views about that. Are you a bit more definite?
The Roots to Writing is part of a much bigger resource linked with the Reading Tree, the Oxford Stream. So it's part of the great big scheme that lots of schools, and where children in the past have been used to just seeing the characters in the books, there's now all the websites that the BBC have done that they can tap into and see their characters come into life and do the video clips as well. So as part of the bigger picture, I think it's really quite an exciting resource. What you saw today was the teacher narrowing down and using one element of it for a very specific thing. And I think the fact that she reviewed it herself, saying that she would like to just, you know, next time she would do it with a small, is really good.
But does that suggest that it's a versatile resource then?
I think it is. I like it. I mean, I think but again, it's if you want if the school wants the whole package. There's lots of things, but you can, as Catherine did, pick out just one element which concentrates on the Roots to Writing with the example of how a real writer. So it sort of puts a lot of context in for very young children.
OK, now back to Catherine in the classroom again, and this time we're looking at a much more practical resource. It's called the Morphin Learning System.
The Morphin Learning System is a set of letter bricks which can be joined together to make words.
I also used the Morphin word blocks for the children who needed support with writing simple CVC words. They really loved it, and it's a really nice resource to use because it's actual physical things that they can do. They're actually making the words, reading the words, they can easily change it.
I like them because I can make words with them. I'm sliding them.
There's lots of other different activities you can do with the word blocks. You can match capital letters to the lowercase letters. You can put the root word for them and they have to change the beginning to make words rhyme. There's lots of different literacy activities that you can use with them, so they're very adaptable. I think I would make them maybe a bit bigger and make the threads thicker so it is easier to thread them through the letters, but that's the only thing. It comes also with a book that tells you different games and activities that you can do with it, which is really useful because it sparks your ideas, so you can use that in your planning. It's really good.
Okay, Kate, wow, that seems much more pupil focused, and that's something that you find quite interesting. What do you think of it generally?
I thought it was great the way those children could explain exactly what they're doing and the look on their faces and everything. Yeah, it's really good. And it's very, very chunky, and they've got complete control over making their words. And the teachers obviously being able to take this resource very quickly and see the potential of stretching, so you've got differentiation before you start. So I was really impressed.
What are the alternatives available, or do they generally tend to be ICT?
No, there's lots of alternatives. It's just that ICT happens to have been very much a target of government spending for the past few years because they want to move schools and teachers on very much so. So if there's the funding there, then there'll be developed products. But if you go, for example, go to the Education Show in Birmingham in March, you will see a very small ICT part of that show. The rest of it is everything you'd expect to find in a school, which is not ICT based, in fact. So although ICT is very important in primary schools, it's not everything. I think it's a really strong message.
I don't think it's ever been a better time to be a teacher as far as resources are concerned.
I'm sure there are countless teachers out there who will agree with you.
And here are some more resources that you might find helpful. www.primaryresources.co.uk/English is a free website hosted by RM. It contains a number of links to worksheets for narrative construction and storytelling. It also has word and sentence level information, including punctuation, grammar and spelling. The Phonics and Spelling Key Stage 1 book includes structured lesson plans on all the main elements of word work that the age group needs to know. There is also a glossary for teachers. The Mystery of Hyphen Hall interactive resource includes inventive activities for spelling, grammar, punctuation and comprehension.
Details on all the resources that you've seen today can be found on our website, teachers.tv/resource review. And also, if you'd like to get in touch, you can email us, and the address for that is resourcereview@teachers.tv. Of the resources you've seen, are there any that you think would be worthy of a resource review recommendation?
I'd go for the Roots to Writing because I like the fact that it is tapped into the Oxford Reading Tree and all the characters are there on the BBC for the children to access for themselves on their own computers at home, those that are fortunate to have it. So that's definitely the one.
Thanks very much for your contributions today. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Resource Review. Goodbye.